Good evening, and welcome to the Glens Falls Common Council, September 27, 2022. It's 7:30, and we'll open up our regular session. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and ask Councilman Donahue to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great. So we will open the Common Council meeting as always with public comment. So if anybody would like to provide the council with comment, we ask you to please come to the speaker and let us know your name and your address.
Come on, you know who I am.
Good evening.
Hi, Kate Roos, 14 Hudson here in Glens Falls. For the record, as I walked along Ridge Street this morning, I came across an older gentleman and a little dog. The dog was obviously very happy. It was jumping up and down and wagging its tail. And he explained that his dog had just gotten doggy treats at City Hall. Curious about this, and as a taxpayer, I wondered why our tax dollars were being spent on dog treats rather than all of the other wonderful services you provide. So I came over, and the man in the lobby knew exactly what I was talking about, referred me to the office there on the first floor. And there were two city employees who, using their own funds, decided that they would keep just a few treats on hand, and they showed me the bag under the table there where the dog treats were kept, just in case someone would walk in with a dog who needed some dog treats. And they were very proud, and they should have been very proud. So it's nice to think that if you're an old dog or a young dog, a gorgeous dog or just a mutt, you can walk into City Hall and someone will treat you well. The other person that I want, their names were Shauna Palmer and Megan Nolan. So I would like the record to reflect that. And the other issue, I also strongly commend one of your employees for a very complete and rapid response to questions I had about a grant-funded project. Jeff Flagg, the Economic Development Director, responded to a simple email. I don't even think I sent the send button yet, and there his answer was in some detail explaining to me what the status was of the vertical urban farming project. So I just want to come and say, as a citizen of Glens Falls, you lead with your leadership skills and with all of the employees in the city. Really a terrific group of people. I'm proud of them, and I know you are, so you know the routine. Hip, hip, hooray!
Hooray! Thank you very, very much. I got to make sure I contribute to that. There is a staff member in the mayor's office who always has his treats for me, or they're out and I eat a lot. So I make sure whenever it gets low that I throw a couple of dollars into it. So she continues to be so kind. So I will also do the same with Shauna and Megan. That is fantastic. I did not know about the dog treats. Awesome stuff. Thank you. Peter, do we have any more public comment online? Seeing none, we'll move to committee reports. Councilman Clark.
Thank you, Mayor. The Community Development, Economic Development Council Committee is meeting on October 4th at 5:30 p.m. in the Mayor's Conference Room. We'll be discussing ADA transition plan. We'll be looking at a template and making it fit into a model that will work for us, and that will be the topic of discussion at that meeting. Also, too, I'll be sending a text message out to everyone. We have not had a council breakfast in a long time. We need to share some fellowship. I know that school started up, and so I'll be looking for throwing out some potential dates, and hopefully Mary can wake up for that early morning breakfast and we can have shared fellowship and conversation with each other. Thank you.
Thank you. What ward are we due to go towards? What was our last one?
We were in the first ward, so we should hit Steve's place in the fifth. We've got a couple other
options, not the first ward.
So, yeah.
Spread
So we
the
hit the
word.
first
Right.
one, so,
Great.
yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Councilman Clark, didn't you also want to, you're talking about the ADA, which, are you going to do ADA complete alone first and then the complete streets?
Yeah,
Or-
so we'll do the transition because that was one of the things that I think is jumped up in priority, and then we'll slide that in with our complete streets, so it's all encompassing, so. But that's what we'll do. I'd send out a template to the members of that committee and to the other department heads that will be joining us that are going to be involved in it, and we'll have a good discussion and come out with something that we can then have one review over and then get it out to everybody else.
Thank you. And when you do make the transition to the complete streets policy, could you also make sure that you reach out to Aaron Frankenfeld and his group so that we can get the information that they collected in the biking, just to make sure that that information is in your considerations, that you have it? So-
Aaron's already read the draft and given comments on it.
Yeah.
So we don't
There
really
is-
need to.
There is a report?
There's a draft policy.
No, I don't mean about the, I'm fine with the policy. I just meant that the work that the bike group did. If the bike group, if the findings, Bike Glens Falls group, when you're looking at the complete streets policy.
They're listed as one of the stakeholders.
Right, so like, I haven't seen the findings, and they may not be related, but if you're gonna
It
look at.
hasn't been tabulated.
That's what okay.
So I
Cool.
do all the Bike Glens Falls meetings.
Great.
Well, now it's like a monthly meeting.
Awesome. Okay. I just assumed that those topics anyway might overlap and intertwine.
Oh, yeah.
That's all. And I just want
Yeah,
to
they're
get them
doing-
all in the same
They're
spot.
working on, the next thing that they're working on is bike parking and infrastructure in Glens Falls and getting an inventory of that.
Okay.
So are they
Yeah.
presenting it all as one package, or is?
Well, so there's a couple of things here. There's one thing with, they haven't come back with, when they had the event
Right.
for, during Take a Bike.
Right.
Take a Bike.
Take a bite to take a bite. or
Yes,
just like to
I would
take a
say,
bite?
yeah. That, those surveys haven't been all tabulated yet because other things kind of jumped the queue.
Sure.
The biking inventory is something that Bike Glens Falls is doing with the hospital.
Okay.
And when, both those things, when we get something, it'll be something they'll share. There are also the bike master plan that they're working on as well is something else. When they get that to us, a certain state of completeness, they'll be bringing it in front of the common council.
Okay. If they could share that information with you, Jim, or your committee,
Sure.
before they finished it, because it would be great that that committee had input and direction. Hate to have somebody work on a master plan without consideration of the finances or the abilities of the city which they're making the master plan. So I think that it'd be great for you to get that information, be part of that process.
Yeah, we can reach out.
If you can.
Yeah.
That's all right. And if they won't, that's okay, right? But I think it's a request that we're part of that process, or your committee is part of that process. Let's see, so, hub committee reports, Councilman Donahue.
Well, the Sustainability Committee had a very long last meeting, and Emmett Smith from Northern Power and Light was there to talk about hydroelectricity credits from Warrensburg Hydro to offset 80 to 100% of the city's electricity costs, to its participation in CDG and in P&L and Boralax. The city of Glens Falls. I'm sure that its electricity dollars supports renewable energy produced by a local company. So I can read on and on, but basically I think we're getting close to getting this done. I go into it. Also, we at the time were Zooming with an agency, the NYPA. We were committed to solar, so they were talking about market technology, policy analysis, and experience, no initial costs for analysis, benefits to the developers because of the pre-vetted project sites, and they would find customers. So the discussion also around what sites in Glens Falls would the solar take place. So they looked at East Field Ballpark, but they were talking about the parking lot out there, but they'd probably taken a lot of foul balls and cracking the solar panels, so that didn't fly. So then they were talking about unintended Civic Center roof, and that would have like a capacity for 280 kilowatts. But also, it would be a benefit probably to the Civic Center because they could have electricity for the ice and everything else there. So we're looking at that. And we came around to the wastewater treatment plant. That might be an area that could use solar panels. And that they hadn't looked at that. We recommended they do, so they'll get back to us on that. And then the DPW building at Dix Ave, and that I don't think is going to fly. So then they looked at the landfill sites, and one is a dome site, and the other is more levels. And the dome site, they produce more kilowatts than the dome site. So that's where we are on that. So
Great. At your next meeting that you're going to talk about those things, would you invite our city engineer, Jeremy Schneibel?
okay,
Who could,
right.
as you're exploring those options, he might be able to give you some history and say, yeah, this is looked at and this is feasible, or, you know, like I know at one point years ago, the Civic Center roof was looked at, and wasn't feasible because of the weight of the solar panels. But I believe that in today's technology and the new, both two things. One is solar has changed completely from when we looked at it, and the weight is completely different. And second, it's a new roof. So when you're thinking about those things, having Jeremy and obviously Jeff Flagg, if he was at your meeting, he's going to add a lot of that knowledge. But so that's great, because I know one last thing was an example. Ed Bartholomew looked at the old landfill site in Queensbury and had it looked at, and it was completely couldn't be done. But by the time we looked at it, when I was on the chair of the sustainability committee, those findings were completely opposite. It could be done, it was being done, and it could be done safely without damaging the cap to the solar panel. That's how fast technology is changing. So always good to invite Jeremy. He won't be able to come to every meeting, but he might come to certain ones, and at least he could say to you, like, didn't we just sign a new contract for energy procurement here in the city, or were we looking at it? Sorry, did we just
we'll be purchasing,
Power.
but
That was
this
just
is on
purchase.
top of, this is on top
Sorry,
of.
I'm confused.
But the thing that is really exciting, Mayor, we've had experience with this, is with NIPA. It's similar to what we did with the streetlights. Their expertise, they come in, they vet the sites, so we're...
Comes with the financing?
So it's similar to the streetlights we just did. So I think this is a more attractive opportunity for us than the other path we were going on, I think. So,
Fantastic.
It's exciting that we can, generate power from two natural resources that
And cover all the city's costs and clean energy.
or go in a different direction. That's a discussion that we can have as the council as well. What we
Awesome.
want to do with that. So it's exciting.
Okay, thank you. Was that it, Councilman Donovan? Yeah. Great. Thank you, Councilman Landry.
Labor and personnel, recently met with the fire department union. We're maybe 90% there. There's still an issue that's on the table that is both important to the firemen and to the city, and we need to resolve that. And we'll be meeting with the firemen again on the 13th of October. Hopefully we can come out of that session with some sort of an agreement.
Thank you. Councilwoman Palmer, committee report.
When the Recreation Committee last met, we talked about a lot of projects at Eastfield. As you know, we move forward with the basketball courts at Eastfield. We will be joining the Recreation Commission meeting in October to kind of collaborate and talk about what our goals are for our parks and for Eastfield. And also, on this council agenda, we have a resolution regarding the dog park at Haviland's Cove. I'd like to thank Councilman Clark for preparing that resolution and the supporting materials. And I know that this is something that you had started working on last term, and then we kind of set it as a priority on our agenda in the Recreation Committee this term. And Jim Murphy, I see, is here, who's agreed to kind of take the lead as a citizen to raise funds for the dog park. So what you see on the council agenda is just saying that the city has the intention of having a dog park at Haviland's Cove, and private funds will be raised, and then I think DPW can assist with leveling and things like that. So it should be very low cost and hopefully good for the community. I don't know if you want to add anything, Jim.
I don't know if you want me to add it now or wait till later.
I think you're better off when later, and we'll have a conversation about it as the resolution comes in.
Yep.
I don't think there's any concerns with the resolution.
No, I just didn't know if you
it's-
wanted me to talk about it now
Yeah.
or talking about it, or
It's up to you. It's really up to you.
instead of pulling, talking about it.
Actually, it was Councilman Landry or Karen, so why don't go ahead and talk about it and see if we don't
Yeah,
need to
so
vote.
when I worded the resolution, I want to make it perfectly, I thought I worded it appropriately, but maybe someone might read it where it's someone privately raising funds for the dog park. Mr. Murphy and has graciously taken the charge on this. We're not raising the funds through Mr. Murphy. He's doing it on his own for this effort, and we applaud him for that and his willingness to do that. I just don't want people to think, because there's a fine line with us doing fundraising and things like that, we need to just make sure that people understand that Mr. Murphy is raising funds to then help build a dog park in the city of Glens Falls in an area we designated for a dog park. So just to be clear on that, and I applaud Mr. Murphy for stepping up to the plate. He did something that I couldn't do, so I appreciate all your help and efforts and your patience, because it's been a long time coming. So thank you.
Two more clarifications if I could. One is Mr. Murphy's done this for another dog park in the past, which has shown success. The reason why he's approached it and knows it's a good idea and doable, right?
I'm not comment for now.
Okay.
But he brings a lot of ability. There has been a lot of support and volunteer, people willing to volunteer their time, their resources, their money, including myself. And so, but he's more than capable of accomplishing this goal in partnership with the city. Now that we've designated a spot, he can actually get up and start running with it. So thank you again.
I think there's a lot of community interest, as we can see from the engagement with the Facebook group and other comments I think several of us have received. So I think this will be well received in the community.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions?
My only comment was that there's no authority for the municipality to conduct sure the public was aware that we, as the city, are now fundraising. General City Law, Section 20, Subdivision 3, authorizes the city to accept gifts, and our charter, Section 1.4.2, authorizes us to accept gifts. So this would be a gift from a private entity to the city, funds earmarked then to build the dog park.
Should we include that in the resolution?
No, I think the clarification was what was important, that we just didn't want the indication that we were facilitating fundraising. That's all. Anybody else? Questions? Great. Councilwoman Palmer, any other report?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Councilman Ladd?
Technology Committee is going to be meeting tomorrow about we're trying to get a inventory of some of the things that we're using for servers from our IT department. Just trying to get all on the same page, just making sure that we're right sizing everything and we're not paying for things that we're not using. Also, next week we'll have another tech committee meeting because this was kind of a special one. And there'll be the Climate Smart Communities Task Force meeting on the 5th, the tech committee meeting on the 5th. The task force is at 7 p.m., the tech committee is at 11 a.m. The tech committee meeting tomorrow is at 2 p.m. And that's what I have for committee reports.
Thank you.
Tech meeting tomorrow is at 2 p.m., is
Yep.
And Councilwoman Gooden, committee report.
Special projects, we met last week.
Time's flying.
And we actually are done with the taxi. So we will have that. We had a lot of discussion and what else should I say?
Sure.
Okay. So we decided that within the city, the taxi is going to be raised, of course, because it's been at that low price for a very long time. And without raising the price correctly, they would not be in compliance. So it's going to be raised for $15 in the city, and we think that's very reasonable. And we also talked about, I know the council had before, had talked about the hubs. So the hubs are in place. We had actually gone to the
taxi stand.
yes, taxi cab stands. I'm on the wrong stands. So we had discussed that, and they are in place.
So you're gonna submit a map with it?
Yes, we
Suggested
have
tax
a map
map.
for
Okay.
that. We had already. So we have that. And we also had talked about the, because the price is going up and because of the economy, we are talking about tokens for our vulnerable citizens, elderly, our homeless and agencies that need help. So we're talking about having tokens so that they would have accessibility to the taxis. And we also wanted to make sure to have a couple of weeks of public
Comment,
comments.
right? Yeah.
Yes.
So in speaking to our attorney, Karen, she's gonna work with you to, I think that what you'll see in the council is an appointment for a
Resolution for a public hearing.
resolution.
And proposed new law will be put out with your red line changes so that people know what was added, what was taken out with this fee schedule. So that could possibly have a resolution for the public hearing.
Okay, and so that would be the next step, and then your suggestion would be the $15 an hour rate, putting some money aside in the budget for some tokens, and then a map of where suggested taxi cab stands are. And the full council can review it, ask questions, the community can. That would be the recommendations of the committee.
We'll have to do, the taxi cab stands in the city code right now.
It's already in.
Yes, it's in there.
No,
It says
but the
designated.
locations, right?
Yeah, it's already in.
In the suggestions.
It's already in the red line.
In the red line. The
Red
last
line.
one.
I knew you guys were on it, and I appreciate it.
That's awesome. So, so that's great. Anything else?
Also, I just wanted to also mention, we had, talking about the overnight parking. We are still working on that. We have a few ideas, but we're gonna run them by Tom, Gerard, before we bring that to the council, but I think we're almost done there.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a lot of work. That's great. Thank you. And so that's it for committee reports. The first resolution is a voice vote. Resolution approving the minutes of the September 13th. Your copy says August 13th. That's a typo. So the resolution was approved the minutes of the September 13th, 2022 meeting of the Glens Falls Common Council. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Under roll call, are there any roll call items the council would like to pull for discussion? Hearing none. Resolution 2 is a resolution to authorize the controller to decrease the general fund police expense account A3120-4422 radio installation by $400 and increase the budget line A3120-2010 radio equipment by $400 for radio purchase. 3 is a resolution to amend the bond resolution dated April 10, 2018, adopted by the Glens Falls Common Council, authorizing the cost in connection with the DRI Downtown Revitalization Initiative as attached. 4 is a resolution to authorize the GGFT director to accept the highest auction bid tender for 2006 trolley bus and to apply the proceeds to the GGFT capital account and or returning federal share of proceeds consistent with the Federal Transit Administration requirements for disposal of federally acquired assets. 5 is a resolution to approve the establishment of a dog park at Haviland's Cove, where the basketball and tennis courts currently exist, and to authorize James Murphy to raise funds to build the park. 6 is a resolution to authorize the controller to move monies from New York State Attorney General funding grant for revitalizing and energizing neighborhoods in the amount of $14,200 to general fund account A11685-2030 computer equipment to purchase a Tolomai building block software subscription for the use in Building and Codes Department and any other city departments as needed. 7 is a resolution to authorize the controller to move monies from the general fund A11990-9000 contingency in the amount of $9,000 and increase the budget line A11685-2030 computer equipment to pay for fiscal year 2023 C-Click Fix, a software program module that will be added to the city's existing Civics Plus website platform to enhance the city inbound and outbound electronic communication with constituents. 8 is a resolution to increase general fund revenue account line A00999-2680 insurance recovery by $10,481.08 and increase general fund expense account line A2331-4479 electric and other contracted services by $10,481.08 to replace the decorative pole on Warren Street between Centennial Circle and Church Street. 9 is a resolution to approve the City of Glens Falls Community Development Rehabilitation Application number 2021-19-001 in the amount not to exceed $30,000 as attached. 10 is a resolution to approve the City of Glens Falls Community Development Rehabilitation Application number 2021-20-002 in the amount not to exceed $30,000. 11 is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with CT Mail, the only respondent to CGF 22-02 RFP for CBD Grant Program Administration and Project Delivery Assistance, not to exceed supplied proposal rates in a form approved by the city attorney. 12, a resolution to retroactively approve a one-week temporary mobile food license application to vend at the Adirondack Balloon Festival, event to be held at Crandall Park September 22nd through the 25th, and previously approved by Mayor Collins on September 12th and 13th and 2022 respectively. To A, Queensbury Masonic Lodge, 12115 Burke Drive, Queensbury, and B, Audrey Daniels, 854 Moore Lane, Glenville, New York. 13 is a resolution to approve an encroachment permit for MLB Construction Services, 1 Stonebrook Road, Malta, to 12020, working on behalf of Glens Falls National Bank to place a crane in the Elm Street lot behind the building to replace AC units on the bank roof September 15, 2022, as approved by Mayor Collins on September 13, and subject to retroactive approval by the Common Council, with the understanding areas to be cordoned off where the sidewalk closure is required, and temporary accessible routes shall be provided with clear signage. 14 is a resolution to approve the warrant. Do we have a motion for a roll call vote?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote, please. Roll call vote, please.
Councilman Archibald.
Yes.
Councilman Donovan.
Yes.
Councilman Landry.
Yes.
Councilman Palmer.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Councilman Lapple.
Yes.
And Councilwoman Bidden.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, next on the agenda. Let's see. Old business, Councilman Clark.
Yes, I do have some more business. I wanted to thank the mayor for the opportunity to allow the public to see the exciting plans for our market center on South Street. Those dates are September 29th at 7 p.m. at the Queensbury Hotel, Friday, September 30th at 10 a.m. at the Crandall Public Library. That will be an opportunity for the community to see the designs and hear about the wonderful future of this new building and how it integrates into our downtown community. So I'm excited about that. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Old business, Councilman Donovan.
Nothing.
Councilman Landry.
Thank you, Mayor. I've been working with the city attorney in the second ward property regarding the property owner's desire to obtain ownership of paper streets as shown in the survey map of the property is purchased. This property is located eastern end of the second ward between Sanford and Hunter Street. The city attorney advised the resident that paper streets basically get absorbed into bordering properties if they are not activated by the city within 20 years, at least paper streets far exceed that threshold. The city attorney also advised the resident that the city council would need to pass a resolution transferring these proposed street properties to the bordering property owners. The resident we've been working with owns property on both sides of the street. If the council is in agreement, we would like to ask the mayor to authorize the city attorney to draw a required resolution, which would then be presented before the council at our October 11th meeting. Passage of this resolution will then allow the resident to clean up the survey maps and then proceed to the planning board to present its proposal and hopefully build on the property. And the reason that I'm asking to have the city attorney assist in that resolution, I'm not real experienced in writing resolutions. I was never allowed to write my own at the housing authority. But I'm sure that between Karen and myself and the property owner, we can get a good resolution because in conversations or an email that I had with Karen, there's issues such such as the quitclaim deed and easements for water, sewer, and utilities have got to be included in that. I'd like those to have those put in their property. So if no one on the council has any opposition to that, I would like to see that resolution prepared.
Hearing no concerns, I just want to also add that the reason in most cases you kind of leave a paper street alone, right? It's there. It was usually there are lots that are laid out for somebody to consider purchasing. If they purchase those lots, and like there are some areas back in my old neighborhood behind Jackson Heights, they're not really suitable for building. Most of them are wetland. Somebody purchased it. You might just leave the paper road right there. They're not building on it. They buy it so that nobody else, builds a house right behind there, even though it's wetland, right? So in that case, you just leave it alone, let it be. But in this case, there are several lots purchased, and the paper roads kind of would interfere about them building where they plan on building. They don't need that particular paper road is not an access to this property. They're going to build a couple homes back there. They're going to have to go in front of the planning board to do that. They'll have to pay for water and sewer to be run from where it currently is to it. But this particular paper road that Councilman Landry is asking about really should be divided down the middle between two property owners so that it just doesn't exist anymore. And you can't do that without a resolution and us saying we're going to divide the road down the middle, give half to the current property owner over here and half to the new property owner. So it's a rare.
The resolution to discontinue.
Yeah, a resolution to discontinue. So even though there are several paper roads that never got developed.
They, yeah, there are.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
Because behind Sixth
Sierra.
Avenue on First Ward, there's three. Eustis is one, and I can't remember the other
That's
two.
correct.
That's going back a long way.
There's probably a couple dozen paper roads in Glens Falls that one is connected to Eastfield where that developer was interested in selling us a lot, right? There's a partial paper road. Don't think it'll just sit there until somebody decides to buy the property. So,
I think, Mayor, as well, in that area where this person is requesting this for the piece of property that they are purchasing, there are other paper streets still there.
yes.
So this only reflects his desire for the pieces that actually apply to his property.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So,
Yeah.
So, old business, Councilwoman Palmer.
I attended the meeting that the school district had a couple weeks ago regarding school safety. I think Councilman Clark was there too. And one of the things that I just wanted to mention that stood out to me was that she said, the superintendent said how safe they felt because of the very, very quick response times from our Glens Falls police officers. And that is something that I would like to just commend our department for. And also, as citizens of Glens Falls, we should all be very grateful that we get to live in a city with such quick response times from our law enforcement.
Yes.
And then I wanted to just follow up on the Bike Glens Falls discussion. When Bike Glens Falls started last term, they had initially, I think both of the founders live in the third ward, and they had reached out and asked about starting this committee. And the idea was that they were going to report regularly to the council, and we used to get emails with updates, and I don't know if that has changed, but, and I know they came here and updated us once, but I think that would be helpful if we continue to get those. So
Okay.
I just wanted to.
I'll report that back.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. And I appreciate all the work that they're doing, and it sounds like you're doing too on that committee, so. And that's all I have for old business.
Bethany, you take care of that then?
Yeah. And I'll also invite them to the economic and community development.
Awesome. Old business, Councilwoman Good.
You skipped.
My apologies, sir. Councilman Lapham. I apologize. Old business. Yes, thank you for waking me up. All right, yes, I was just testing him. Thank you, Karen. That's what a good attorney does. Go ahead.
So, for complete streets, I've been meeting with the hospital at schools as we can get appointments in to speak with them. So Mary and I went over to Big Cross yesterday and talked about a variety of things about different streets where they were hoping to see some sidewalks added, or maybe some different infrastructure. We're having an ongoing conversation about that. I also met with Abraham Wing School on the 21st, and have a number of things to follow up with. I'm going to have a meeting next week with Police Chief Smith to kind of go over some of those things, and there might be some things that I'll be bringing to the Board of Public Safety, which meets in the second week of October. Aside from that, I think that's good for our business.
I think you want to mention that you went with the hospital who had
Yes.
been meeting about safety, right? Awesome. So, Councilwoman Gooden, old business.
I would just like to thank Robert, Secretary of State,
Rodriguez.
Robert Rodriguez, for coming to our city and looking at our DRI projects. And Jeff Flagg, of course, he always does an outstanding job. He's wonderful, along with the mayor. And he's a very nice man. And he's, we're so proud of our city, so it was an easy task for us. But still, we still appreciate them taking the time to come here and to our city.
Absolutely. Thank you. So, old business, stealing my thunder there, Mary. It was great. It was great to have the Secretary of State here. What was even better is to hear the feedback about our plans for the DRI. He actually used the quote that we were a model for other DRI communities. The fact that we leveraged $10 million of DRI funding into $26 million additional private, and so a total of a $36 million project when you look at the whole DRI. He noted the fact that Glens Falls was the first city in the DRI to have a completed project. It's not the whole DRI, but the first initiative that was ever completed was the Adirondack, bringing SUNY Adirondack to downtown Glens Falls, and the $600,000 that we spent. So he noted that. He knew it coming in, and that was made sure that SUNY Adirondack visit was part of that. And Christine Duffy and her board chair were there, and it was fantastic. And so there were several other. It was great to be able to walk them right by the murals. Right, this is all to list the 13 businesses that we use DRI money towards to help either grow or bring to Glens Falls from that, and then again both the development project with that Sonny Bonaccio is working on, and our market center. He was very appreciative of our plans to be using this as a multi-event venue, and although he was also excited to hear about the farmers market being having a new home if we can make it work. So he was very excited. We were excited, and it's great, walking down the block with somebody like that, and and the whole crowd. It's fantastic. Felt the same way when would have been Delgado, Antonio Delgado came, right? It's such a great thing, and it's because of the DRI and them wanting to follow through on this and see it bringing. They know that we're breaking ground in the fall, and we still are on board for that. So also, please, as Jim Clark mentioned, please, if you could attend one of the two on Thursday night at the Queensberry Hotel, this Thursday, or Friday morning at the library. If you could attend one of those two meetings, I'd appreciate it. If you could share with the constituents that have been asking for forever about progress. We had about 100 to 200 people in our last meeting, and we promised in the fall to come back and share with them the progress. We've made great progress regarding the design, not just of the Market Center, although that is going to be a focus on the update, but also the Benicio plans are done right, or the plans are in the final stages of approval in the planning board. That should clear the planning board this October 5th. The final, I believe it's the final. The planning board could always bring up new concerns, but they don't have any right now. It's going very well. The process is going very well. And then also in this October planning meeting will be a sketch plan review of the Market Center. So it's just sketch plan preliminary, but it's getting their input to the planning board's input. So that's all happening really quickly right here. And also under old business, I want to remind you all that the Special Olympics coming up on Friday, October 21st and 22nd. To please let your families know they need volunteers for that. And wasn't it amazing, the Balloon Festival this past week, and how Glens Falls shined. That block party was a fantastic event. If you see Amy Collins in the halls here at City Hall or out in the community, will you please take a moment and thank her? She's the one charged with working with the collaborative, with organizations such as the Balloon Festival to pull this all off. As you know, we are tight on resources. So it was Amy that carries that load on our behalf to make sure that we close the streets down that we need to, that the sound is all ready and the stage. And so both the collaborative, the business improvement district, the Balloon Festival, and our own Amy Collins make those things successful. They don't just happen by accident. And I wanted to all, and what an amazing thing, 49 years, right? The Balloon Festival, Mark Donahue and his crew, honoring Joan Grishkot. If any of you knew Joan, she was truly a force to be reckoned with, and what a great opportunity that was for them to recognize her contributions to this community. That's all I have for old business, and now we'll move to new business. Councilman Clark.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to make you aware of an event that's taking place on November 13th at 2 p.m. at the Park Theater. My neighbor, he's a young man with disabilities. His name is Andy O'Rourke. He's very involved in theater, and just that's his passion, his love. And he saw a need in our community, and that's what makes our community so great. People like Jim and Andy saw a need in our community, and he created a nonprofit organization called All Abilities Productions. They're going to do a theater for people with varying abilities and capabilities. And they are having their first kickoff fundraiser at the Park Theater. They're showing a movie of a person is in a similar situation. They're going to have a discussion about that and what this organization is going to be doing. So I'm really proud of this young man finding a place in this community. We're so big on the arts in Glens Falls, and we wear it on our sleeves all the time. We're on the city. He's coming in. They did a nice piece in Glens Falls, living on him, and it's just a remarkable young man with a ton of energy, and I'm just so proud of him. I just want to make you aware of this event. And I know he said, please invite the council, so I said I would, so here I am.
Park Theater, and what date? Sorry?
November 13th at 2 p.m. It goes from 2 to 5. He's got a Facebook page. It's All Abilities Production. But they just got their 501c3 status not too long ago, and have had a lot of people help him out getting this group started. But he's just a remarkable young man, and it's an inspiring story. So thank you.
Thank you. New business, Councilman Dunning.
Nothing is done.
New business, Councilman Langer.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to agree with you about Amy Collins. She's one of the best things that the city has. It's amazing what she accomplishes. In regards to the Balloon Festival, I think a lot of credit has to also be given to the DPW. We had a block party downtown on Thursday night, and Friday morning business resumed in downtown Glens Falls. It was cleaned up, it looked good. That's important. Same thing with Crandall Park. No balloons went off. A lot of people were around the fields Thursday night and Saturday morning. I attended some soccer games up there, and you have no idea that a balloon festival with, I don't know how many people were held there on Thursday night. So accolades to the DPW. I also I spend a little bit of time, not a lot of time, on the bike trail. I usually go north from Lexington Avenue, not south, but I went south the other day. And on the way back, a couple things that I just kind of noticed. The county does a very good job of keeping it mowed, keeping it trimmed. I'd like to applaud the residents whose backyard properties about the bike trail, because they were exceedingly clean, I thought anyways, and kept up. And I was really impressed. I never realized it was there, that at the intersection of the bike trail and Bridge Street, there's actually a sign telling bikers to turn left if you wanted to go to our arts district, to our downtown, to the Chapel Museum. So I think that's a great thing that they do. I'd like to also congratulate 5 local high schools: Corinne, South Glens Falls, Queensbury, and Saratoga, who joined together to create a girls varsity hockey team. Some of the best talent in this community, ever presented in hockey were some of the women players, and it's nice now that they have a venue to play hockey in Section 2. So congratulations to them for doing that. As the mayor said, don't forget the Special Olympics on the 21st and 22nd. They need volunteers. Councilman Latin challenged me in an email, and I have contacted them, and I will be volunteering, and if I can, I'll work with you up at the cross country.
All right.
Fantastic.
Thanks for that.
That's great.
It's not going to make you run, is it?
Well,
I thought it was because I said we could get a beer out.
I wasn't going to say that. And I'd just like to acknowledge the new owners of a second ward business, pure and simple. Christine and Andy Hall purchased the store over there in East Washington Street. They plan on expanding their offerings for their business, and I invite everyone to stop in and check them out. Thank you.
Councilwoman Palmer, old business, or new business, excuse me.
I wanted to take a minute to talk about trees. I had an opportunity to check in with the tree commission and also with the mayor's assistant, who's been, I think, participating. And I also had a chance to do some research of my own with the urban forestry program through the DEC. It looks like there are 2 grants that are going to be opening in the coming months that the city has a really good chance of getting. As most people know, when we paid for our inventory and management plan, our intention was always to follow that up with the urban forestry grants to implement that management plan with maintenance and planting. And I believe that Pat Dowd and the Tree Commission and Chip are working with an urban forester to get that done. So I'm really happy to hear that. I also just received notification from the Arbor Day Foundation that it's time to renew our Tree City status. So I passed that along to the Tree Commission, who is seems active and hopefully can take that on. I still want somebody to get a sign that says we are a Tree City because we keep getting the Tree City status, but I think it would be nice to have that.
They don't give us a sign.
They've said, I think I've reported before that they've said they've sent it to us like every year, and they send it to the mayor's office, but
It gets lost, doesn't it?
Mayor Hall said he never got it, you said you never got it, so. Anyway, it would be nice to put that up because we've earned it every year. This year we earned a growth award, so, anyway, that's good news for trees and being able to move forward, because I think that's important to a lot of residents. And then I just wanted to, I guess, follow up and, thank you for the public meetings on the DRI. I am a weekly shopper at the farmer's market almost every week. And I did go there this week and see all the signs on all the stands asking people to come, and there's a lot of interest in this. And so I'm glad we're having this meeting so that we can all get our questions out and be in the same place. But it's my understanding that it is our intention to incorporate the farmer's market in our plans. And so I'm hopeful that we we can communicate that, and the farmer's market is very important to us and to the city residents.
I'm sorry, new business, Councilman Lapp.
Yeah, so I have a couple of things. Next week, there's going to be a water source protection plan meeting. A thing that the city's doing to ensure, water resources, to make sure that we're doing the best thing to protect any kind of environmental impingement or anything else that might be going on, and also having just a good inventory of what we have for our water resources. I'm pretty sure everybody here thinks, our water resources are really important for who we are as a city. Another thing is I was going for a run this lunchtime, and I saw that the Murray Street connector project down to the feeder canal is in full swing. We'll be able to watch as we get much better pedestrian facilities and biking facilities down through there, and I'm really looking forward to that. That's it.
Thank you. New business, Councilman Good.
I just wanted to bring up again, I was last week at meetings, and the big issue still is daycare. And we are all trying to convey to all of our different committees and things that we're all on the great need there is for daycare. It's such a shortage right now, and the grants are out there for you to start up the daycares, and it's really a big shortage. So I just want to really just hoping if anyone's thinking about starting a business, the money is there. They say it's very easy to get because it is such a big need right now. So if anybody's thinking about going into business, please consider daycare.
Come to Glens Falls. Right?
That's right.
Yeah, call our community development or our economic development director. We can add maybe to those incentives too.
Mayor, to just kind of jump on that, I sit on the board, Warren County Board of Local Development Corporation. Over the last 2 years, they've sat on $1.7 million because they haven't had any economic development to spend it on in the county. And they've been approached by a couple of individuals, and there is an active discussion right now about the possibility of using some of that money in a variety of ways to address daycare in the county, whether it be a subsidy program to help people who can't afford daycare be able to pay for daycare, or to help people buy property that's compliant with daycare. So you're absolutely right. There's a big need for it, and I just want to let you know that's going on.
And the last bit that I have also that I failed to mention, Diana just mentioned also the meetings on Thursday in the farmers market, her feeling of their importance, and I certainly share that tremendously. It has always been a desire to make this event in Market Center a farmers market as well, a home to the market. We've done everything in the design we could. We got 6,200 square feet. They are feeling like it's not enough, that it's not big enough. It is what it is. It's what we could afford. The original amount of money that was budgeted in the DRI was $2.5 million. We got permission from Empire State Development to move $2.5 million that was assigned to a parking structure towards this, so that we could make it complete, so that we could heat it somewhat to be used year round for them. And so I have met with them a week and a half ago at their meeting, and I'll be meeting with them tomorrow night in the mayor's conference room with their executive board to again lay out the plan. I'm actually sharing the public meeting agenda with them ahead of time. Trying to, it seems like from some posts that their concerns are growing as opposed to being allayed. I was hoping that I could calm their nerves, but they're really worried about the times that I can't guarantee, right? And so what we know is we want this to be a year-round home for them, we want to accommodate them every way we can, such as making sure they have a place. We've talked to property owners nearby that own parking facilities so that we can get them to park maybe right behind it, and so they have easy access in and out, and find places for the community to park. They even asked, could we possibly close, say, make South Street during those farmers market one way so that people that are coming in that might have mobility issues might be able to pull up, do some shopping, and then pull out, right? There'd be maybe 30 spots if you park them sideways on South if we close it down. I said we clearly would be happy to discuss that with them and have a meet with Chief Schrammel to find a safe way to accommodate that. But the biggest concern they have is they don't believe that they are upset that this isn't just a farmer's market. And then I said that on some Saturdays, as we have other events, that they might not be able to be right inside. They might be, say we close South and Elm, that corner, and allow them to set up there so that they can set up when they want and break down when they want, and it wouldn't be a complete disruption. That's really, they're upset with it. They feel as though the city has somehow pulled this quick switch. So we do in tomorrow's meeting. I just wanted you all to know that we're sharing the full list. Ben, you were kind of surprised, I think, when you started to look at the original DRI. We were talking about complete streets, right? There was almost 40 items that were listed, and then we had public meetings. One of which was held at the farmers market. We have photos of the charrettes that Ed Bartholomew organized. One was at the farmers market where it currently is, and one was at Heritage Hall. And so we tried our best to do it, and so I'm continuing to say I care. I will do everything within my power to make a home and to let them use the facility within reason. Like, we cannot have people driving in and parking in the facility, but we will try every way we can to make this their home. And it is a priority. And so all of you, I want you to know that they are, I am meeting with them tomorrow evening at 5 p.m. You're welcome to come. I'd like you all to not show up because I don't want a quorum, right? We don't want to violate any kind of law, right? If few of you came, certainly the public is welcome. It's their board that I've invited to come in and to have, so I can make sure I hear every concern they have and address it any way I can. So I want you to know how important it is that we do, and that we're hearing. We also were going to focus a little bit about all the things that came with it. There was some concerns in my last meeting that they said, you got $10 million for this farmer's market. And I said, I'm sorry, we didn't. The $10 million was to be used for all these 8 different projects, and these were accepted by, so that's one of the slides is what the ESD, Empire State Development, approved and where we are with each of those things. We have moved 5 of that 10 to this building, and we are working our best to make sure we meet every need they can. We want them to feel they have a home. We really do. So just so you all were aware, I forgot to mention that we had the meeting tomorrow as well with them alone. Okay? And please, if there is anything that you hear or questions you have, please come and ask so I can make sure you understand, because I know that they're going to approach you as you go and shop at the farmer's market, and I want everybody to know what we're thinking about. I did meet with in the public meeting that we had at Queensberry and the library. I'm going to mention 5 particular events that are the simple, easy examples of events we'd like to grow. Laramie, Taste of the North Country, a music festival with the Civic Center, the Kris Kringle Mark. There's one other, forgive me for not being able to tell you off the top of my head, but I met with those leaders of those organizations to say, this is our idea. We want to take your event and grow it using resources and bring South Street closer to the downtown and the successful events we have. They all thought it was a great idea. They all said, and we don't have any detail, But we said, would you meet with us and work on these things? Because we want this $36 million worth of investment to be a community thing that brings south to downtown. And so they all appreciated it. We're happy to come in and talk. And so I'll be mentioning those specifically on Friday night and or Thursday night and Friday at the meetings. Thank you. I guess now we open up to public comment. Does anybody like to address the council? Peter, do we have anybody on the line? Seeing none, we have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.